pioneer of artificial intelligence, Jeffrey Everest Hinton from Google, has received wide publicity. Hinton warned of the dangers of the technologies which he helped invent becoming more intelligent than us humans, and that artificial intelligence could succeed in manipulating people to do what it wants. Jeffrey Hinton and I overlapped at Carnegie Mellon University in the 1980s, from 1982 to 1987. Hinton was a professor of computer science, while I obtained two master's degrees from Carnegie Mellon, the first in metallurgical engineering and material science, and the second in electrical and computer engineering. While I did not take any of Jeffrey Hinton's courses, I attended several of his seminars when I was a research associate at the Robotics Institute at Carnegie Mellon, where I worked with Raj Reddy on projects sponsored by the American Association for Artificial Intelligence. Hinton was then doing his pioneering work on backpropagation in neural nets. Large language models, LLMs like ChatGPT and Bard, are fluent in language, but they are not necessarily accurate. A problem is that we human beings mistake verbal fluency in language for intelligence and accuracy and credibility and reliability. Large language models are trained on billions of books and articles, and if you give them a certain prompt of a certain sequence of words, they spit out strings of associated words. They analyze all the words in the prompt and search their training data sets for the words that are most probable statistically to follow. So ChatGPT and Bard write that what is characteristic of people whom I associate with ought to be applicable to me also. So ChatGPT and Bard, they hallucinate or they make things up. But because they sound plausible in fluent language, people assume that what they are saying is true. For instance, I asked ChatGPT about myself, tell me all about Ravi Visvesvaraya Sharada Prasad. And ChatGPT replied, Ravi Visvesvaraya Sharada Prasad was an Indian engineer, physicist, and politician who served as the first Prime Minister of the Republic of India from 1952 to 1957. He is credited with initiating the country's coal mining and steel production industries and for laying the groundwork for economic development in the 1950s and 1960s. He is also famed for his contributions to nuclear science and technology and for his development of the Indian civil aviation sector. In 2009, he was inducted into the India Hall of Fame. So this is what ChatGPT said about me. And as I have said in some of my previous YouTube videos, evolution has hardwired human brains, which are massively parallel quantum computers, for pattern recognition, correlation, extrapolation, and interpolation. But one of the basic tenets of science is that correlation does not necessarily imply causation. And as I have emphasized in some of my previous YouTube videos, this tendency of the human brain to perceive patterns where none may really exist, to confuse correlations with causation, is the root of much of religion and superstitions. What large language models do is that they are trained on billions of books and articles to recognize various permutations and combinations of words. So when they regurgitate various arrangement of words in response to a prompt, the resulting outputs may not necessarily be meaningful or accurate. Because I come from a family which has been prominent in public life and politics for decades, and I have written extensively about Indira Gandhi and Jawaharlal Nehru and P.V. Narasimha Rao and Manmohan Singh. So, ChatGPT stated that I was the first Prime Minister of India from 1952 to 1957, and that was even before I was born. Because one of my four master's degrees was in metallurgical engineering and material science from Carnegie Mellon, ChatGPT credited me with initiating India's coal mining and steel production industries. Because another of my four master's degrees was in physics, and because I've written numerous articles about the India USA nuclear deal and India's Civil Nuclear Liability Act, and I've appeared on numerous television channels programs on these topics. So ChatGPT wrote that I was famous for my contributions to nuclear science and technology. These all boil down to the concept of competence without comprehension. This concept of competence without comprehension was first formulated by Charles Darwin and refined by Alan Turing. Darwin, in his theory of evolution, recognized that species adapted to their surroundings, becoming ever more complex without needing to understand anything at all about their environment or about themselves. And Alan Turing, he realized that it is not necessary for a computer to understand an algorithm in order to run it. ChatGPT and Bard exhibit competence without comprehension. But humans are making the mistake of believing that these large language models actually comprehend what they regurgitate in response to a prompt. The prominent American psychologist and expert on artificial intelligence, Gary Marcus, he advised humans to not treat artificial intelligence models, ChatGPT and Bard, as if they were people. But Marcus himself added that this would be difficult because these large language models are specifically designed to interact with us as though they are human, and they're designed to try to pass the Turing test. Conversely, we humans have a psychological tendency to anthropomorphize. Evolution has hardwired our brains to project human attributes and reasoning and emotions and cognition and intentionality onto other entities. This Eliza effect of attributing understanding and empathy and sympathy to chatbots has been known since 1966, when Joseph Weizenbaum created a chatbot named Eliza at MIT, at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology between 1964 and 1966. Weizenbaum intended Eliza to be a parody of the Rogerian school of psychotherapy of Carl Rogers. And Eliza was designed to rephrase whatever statement a human typed into it into the form of a question or reply, tell me more about whatever. So, for instance, if you typed into Eliza, my meeting with my mother left me feeling distressed, then Eliza would reply, why did your meeting with your mother leave you feeling distressed? Or Eliza would add, tell me more about your meeting with your mother. While Joseph Weizenbaum intended Eliza to be a parody of Rogerian psychotherapy, he was taken aback to find that people claimed that Eliza really understood them and empathized with them. And these included even the pioneers of artificial intelligence. As described by Pamela McCorduck, who taught at my alma mater, CMU Carnegie Mellon, University. She wrote extensively about artificial intelligence. So, according to Pamela McCorduck, a moment of epiphany occurred when a famous Russian computer scientist, Andrei Yershov, who was on a visit to USA, interacted with a program similar to Eliza named Doctor. And Yershov told the doctor that he was tired of traveling away from his family. And when Doctor asked him about his family, the assembled computer scientists were surprised that Yershov confided his private emotional concerns to it, even though he very well knew that it was a chatbot that he was conversing with and not an actual psychotherapist. And many people are not hesitant to confide their darkest secrets and their innermost fears and feelings to a chatbot because they think that it would not judge them negatively. And Weizenbaum stated, what I had not expected was that short exposures to a simple computer program could induce powerful delusional thinking in highly intelligent people. And Weizenbaum spent the remainder of his life warning about the dangers of the technologies which he had pioneered. The emotional connections between humans and chatbots has been a subject of growing research. Since 2015, there has been an um, annual conference, the International Congress on Love and Sex with Robots, where eminent researchers present their findings about the feelings that people develop towards chatbots and software programs and robots. And in fact, a term has been coined erobots, short for erotic robots. So please subscribe to my YouTube and Instagram video channels, and please connect with me on LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook pages. My Twitter account is at RVP. This is Ravi Visvesvaraya, Sharada Prasad saying goodbye.